A Ukrainian drone caught up with a Russian tanker in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea and may have sent General Overyanov of the main intelligence directorate of the Russian Federation to the other world. A few hours later, already in the Caspian Sea, there was a new attack. An oil platform was set on fire and a patrol vessel was damaged. While Russian officials were still opening their mouths, the security service of Ukraine reported a strike on the Belbek airfield in Sevastopol. Two Su-27 fighter jets were destroyed, one of them directly on the taxiway with a full combat load. And this is already the third attack on this airfield in recent days. British intelligence confirms that the submarine Kolpino, damaged during the recent strike on Sevastopol, is unable to move or dive. Repair is impossible, and all of this happened in a single day. Ukrainian security forces launched a real hunt for key targets of the Russian Federation. The question now is only one: who will be next? At first, everything looked like another attack on a Shadow Fleet tanker. Those have happened before, but not this time. In the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, far from Ukrainian shores, an aerial drone pierced the hull of the vessel. And at first glance, there was nothing new, if not for one detail. According to several sources, the target was not the tanker itself, but who was on board. Not an oil hold, but a living, specific target. It is said that on board was a general of the main intelligence directorate of the Russian Federation, Overyanov, the very one who coordinated operations outside the Russian Federation, including in Syria and Ukraine. And it was he who, as is assumed, may have become that very 200 for whom an entire drone squadron was launched. There are zero official confirmations, but this is exactly what is alarming, because when Russians are silent, it means either they do not know what to say, or they know but do not want to speak. And in the first hours after the strike, it was they, not the Ukrainians, who themselves released Overyanov's name into the information space. Then they abruptly fell silent, all of them, as if on command. If he had survived, we would have already been shown proof, told that it was all invented once again, another fabrication. But silence speaks louder than words, especially when it is centralized. It cannot be ruled out that the general was indeed written off, but without fanfare or an obituary. Such people are buried quietly, or perhaps the opposite. A living man is now being buried in the information field in order to hide him deeper, give him a new legend, a new position, and a new name. But if we assume that he did die, then this means one thing: the operation was prepared for a long time, a very long time. Because striking a tanker thousands of kilometers from the front is no longer the level of a tactical raid, but a special operation with a clear objective. This means that a drone can arrive for any intelligence officer at any moment. Not somewhere in the Kherson region, but anywhere, in a port, at sea, or even in a hotel room. And one more thing, the tanker was most likely empty, which means the explosion and the fire were not the goal. The goal was the people on board. And if it really was a general, then this is no longer just a military action, it is a hunt. The information about the tanker had barely settled into the headlines when a new report burst onto the airwaves. This time, the Caspian Sea, a place that is usually quiet, a place where everyone plays neutrality and even a hint of a strike looks like crossing a line. But the lines, it seems, no longer concern anyone. According to Ukraine's Special Operations Forces, a precision strike was carried out against a Russian oil platform, and, at the same time, a patrol vessel was hit as well. That is, no longer just a single target, but a combination, a coordinated attack. A plan in which everything was calculated. The irony is that the Caspian is an internal body of water. It is not easy to reach unless you are Russia, Iran, or Azerbaijan, and certainly not Ukraine. But drones, it seems, are not taught geography. They simply fly where they are told. What exactly was hit has not yet been disclosed in detail, but it is known that the platform was operational and the ship was on duty. And if the platform is a matter of economics, then the ship is already about military security. It is about the nervous reaction of command. Because when something unexpectedly explodes on the maritime horizon, very uncomfortable questions begin to arise. The main question is how? How do you deliver a drone to the Caspian? How do you bypass all air defense systems, patrols, tracking networks? There are no answers yet, but the result on the screen exists. The platform is burning, the ship is damaged, and Russian sources are either silent or mumbling something about unidentified incidents. And now a simple question: if Ukraine is capable of striking the Caspian, where does the risk zone end? Where is it safe now? now. And are there any coordinates left that a Ukrainian operator does not already see on the screen? Judging by these events, no. And this is only the beginning. Now Crimea, Sevastopol, the Belbek airfield, it is being struck again. And if previously drones jammed radars, hit hangars, and made the air above the area deaf, now the approach is larger in scale. The Security Service of Ukraine officially confirms 2 Su-27 fighter jets have been hit by long-range drones, one of them directly on the taxiway with a full combat load. It was already preparing to take off, possibly to intercept those very same drones, but the drones were faster and quieter. One moment, and a flash in the sky above the airfield. Fire. The ammunition detonates priyama on the ground. The second fighter jet is hit in its parking position. Both are put out of action. Their estimated cost is around 70 million United States dollars. But the point is not the numbers. It is the message, the symbolism, the audacity. A fighter jet shot down in flight is war, but one blown up at takeoff is a demonstration. It is like showing that you can not only shoot down, you can prevent takeoff altogether. That all your expensive equipment is simply targets on asphalt. And here's an important point. This is already the third attack on Belbek in a matter of days. Before that, almost all radars that showed any signs of life were put out of action. That means the airspace was breached, and Ukrainian operators entered this window of opportunity without invitation, and now they are moving through it as if it were their own home. The remaining drones, having completed their primary mission, did not leave. They continued operating and destroyed the control tower, simply because it was accessible, because they could. How will this now affect the operation of the entire airfield? In the official statement, it is modestly added, "This may complicate flight control." The comment is written with iron Ukrainian sarcasm, because complicate is putting it mildly. In place of that command center, there is now simply a black hole. Anyone who decides to take off from Belbek after this may not return at all. When the explosion thundered in Sevastopol, the shockwave did not travel only over the water. It went through command offices as well, and while some were checking lists of damaged ships, others were trying to locate a submarine, the very one that was supposed to be in shelter but never left. According to British intelligence, the strike hit a diesel-electric submarine of the Varshavyanka project, by North Atlantic Treaty Organization classification, Kilo, and by its registry name, Kolpino. And this is where things become strange. Immediately after the strike, almost all Russian ships urgently changed their positions. Only Kolpino remained. It did not move a single meter. It did not depart. It did not surface. It did not dive. And that already points not to discipline, but to damage. Damage that cannot be repaired on site. Damage that makes the submarine effectively immobile, unable to surface, unable to leave. Analysts are confident. Repairing such a submarine in Novorossiysk is impossible. The necessary facilities simply do not exist. The only place where an attempt could be made is Sevastopol again, and reaching it is possible in only two ways: under its own power or under tow. And here a zugzwang begins. The submarine has no own propulsion, and towing it would mean publicly admitting that the boat is damaged. And that is something the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation does not want to allow under any circumstances, because then it would have to admit that a submarine worth billions of rubles is no longer combat ready, and that means it is a target. Against the backdrop of confident statements by the new minister Belousov about the high combat readiness of the fleet, this would be a direct slap in the face. So the result is this: the submarine is dead, but it cannot be acknowledged. It stands in the harbor, like a monument to itself. And every day of its immobility only confirms what no one has officially said yet. However, there is another nuance. All of this is not merely a technical incident, it is a strike at the nerves. Because if a Ukrainian drone or missile was able to hit a submarine in a protected harbor, then no object, neither on the surface nor below it, can feel safe anymore, even if on paper it is listed as being in shelter. All these events occurred almost simultaneously. The Mediterranean Sea, the Caspian, Sevastopol, aircraft, tankers, submarines. Different targets, different methods, but the same signature. Ukrainian forces are hunting, precisely, boldly, and ever farther from the front line. And if this is only an intermediate result, all that remains is to wait for the next strike, because it will definitely come. The only question is where and against whom.